Okay. Hola, all. Welcome back to Soul Mechanics. Your host, Donovan Neal. This video is what I'm thinking is going to be the second to last response clip for various topics involving my interview with Heathen Hour, which I'm very grateful for. Again, I'm going to express that every chance I get. Thank you guys so much for doing that. It was very awesome. I have all these opportunities to speak to different issues that you've raised, and it's a brilliant opportunity. I'm very happy you gave it to me. Thank you guys. Anyways, this one's specifically for Paulogia, and so it's to get to the questions now that we've cleared up that nasty little bit of trivia concerning philanthropy and kratom, and how great a deal of good a little bit of educated cooperation could accomplish with the asset of nature at its back. If only, greedy drug pushers who think that their several years of vapid at best experimentation can contend with billions of years of nature's evolution would kind of step aside and allow some things to remain free in their conceptualized free establishment. We can move on now to covering issues that are of higher import, namely reinventing the concept of theism by simply tinkering with a few of the basic values in play. Paulogia kept asking, several times he asked me what theism was to me or what I thought theism was, and I apologize, Paulogia, if I didn't. I'm not. I kind of figured I had made it pretty self-evident. It's and you seem to be understanding of the concepts in play regarding the elder traditions and Tibetan Buddhism, Taoism, all that, Hinduism and such. These are where we would have gotten the original ideas, particularly Tao Te Ching would have given us some of these ideas. But I mean, it's fairly simple. It's really just, it's been around forever, and really everybody should kind of, at the very least, be aware of this. It's not new. My understanding is not unique in nature, except for the fact that it really hasn't been seen much yet. But we're getting there. We're getting there. That's the purpose of all this. Um, so before we begin, I'd like to flip just for a second. In fact, I'm going to show you a clip here. I'm going to show you a little clip of presenting the question at hand and the characters in play. But insofar as an actual, real, existing God goes, I experience a living force in the world, something that communicates with me, it guides me, it directs me, it's there for me, it helps me out, it gives me guidance through synchronicities. Do you know about synchronicities?
I understand the word synchronicity, so I'm not sure what context you're using it in here.
Well, actually, Donovan, I'd love to hear, before we get too deep into chats, I'd love to actually know that I'm on the same page with who I'm talking to. So I'd love if you could define for us a few things. If you could define what God is, define what theism is, and define religion, and then I guess synchronicity. So those four definitions I'd love to get from you.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. Brilliant. Thank you for that. Please pause. Yeah, so to introduce these peoples that are on the Heathen Hour, this episode of the Heathen Hour podcast featuring Donovan Neal, which is mistitled "Theism is Not Religion?" ? Shannon Q, obviously, she's a very beautiful young lady. She has various degrees and such. Then there's this Donovan Neal character who you just saw with the dark suit. He's kind of comes across as this sort of a shady character. Donovan Neal, alias Mechanical Soul, I guess, via Twitter, is his moniker. Mechanical Soul, and of course the channel is Soul Mechanics, which coincidentally happens to be the channel you're watching now. He comes across as this really kind of a shady character, and he seems like kind of strung out, like he might have been up awake busting his ass for several days, at a time. And I've noticed he scratches his face a lot, which, I mean, we could probably overlook that sort of thing were it the case that he lived in an environment that was like extremely hot all the time, and maybe he was an animal lover, so he kept two cats in his apartment despite being allergic to them. We could overlook the scratching of the face and whatnot, but I mean, it's likely. I mean, I've watched enough mainstream media and television shows to know that he's probably some kind of a methamphetamine addict or something. And apparently, he contradicts himself a lot by proposing ridiculous ideas about this God figure. He's supporting the atheist community, like really promoting the atheist community, while stating that declaring he believes in this crazy God figure that's all around him and helps him in some way, influences him, and he contradicts himself apparently repeatedly by proposing such ridiculous concepts as the idea that this God can in fact uh, intervene in your life to some degree, but only in response to the decisions that you make deliberately, which I guess that's contradictory somehow. And also, he smokes during his videos, which that's that's exacerbatingly obnoxious, man. And I fucking it's just you can't even make it through a video without smoking a cigarette or two or three or four at a time. Tisk tisk, man. Poor behavior on your part. He's obviously a pretty terrible person. Um, he says he's working on trying to quit smoking, but I don't know if we should support him on that. Anyway, Paulogia, as you've seen, or Paulogia, I'm not sure how they pronounce it, but I like Paulogia, is a floating cartoon head. He's a former young Earth creationist, I guess, and present atheist. He has a very awesome channel where he does like he has himself as a cartoon guy, and then he has another guest, and he turns them into a cartoon, whoever they are. It's really cool, and he has they're like news anchors, and they do this news report that's supposedly a response to this Ken Ham guy who I don't know why this Ken Ham guy is so important to everybody in the atheist circuit, but he seems just kind of like a douchebag dipshit idiot to me. But everybody seems to like to talk about him, and but they don't really. It's not like focused on him. They say that they're talking about him, but then they carry on to like entirely different topics. And I don't know as I said, the channel's really cool. You want to watch it. And Paulogia is, like I said, a former young Earth creationist and current atheist, but like deconverted, as they say, which I'm certain that he holds tight to those atheist convictions and ideologies that most of them tend to hold tight to those. It's not really so much unlike a religion in and of itself, except that the presence they worship is not. They don't call it a god, and they propose that it has no awareness or consciousness, that it just kind of happens on its own, uh, accidentally, I guess, without any real consciousness or awareness behind it. Although we are aware that there is a consciousness in just about everything we come across, so I don't know. They don't call it God. They refer to it as evolution, or they refer to it as science. It's just kind of a force that's in play that's causing for things to happen in some way, or more appropriately, it's, I guess you could say, it's examining things that happen. It's observing, but they don't call it God, so it's not really a religion so much, even though they do kind of behave exactly the same way. But anyways, I'd support his channel. His channel is awesome, so check it out. And obviously, you should support Soul Mechanics, so which I'm gonna get to here. Moving on, flipping back into prerogative gear. Something I'd like to begin with, once again, is to remind people that this particular, the YouTube circuit, this political arena, you could say, is in fact an arena wherein your vote does actually matter. So, I mean, we do need for you guys to support the channel and the Remnants program on via Facebook if you want to. I mean, it's really fun. We're having a lot of fun with that. We're getting people every day. It's pretty cool. But we need for you guys to like and subscribe to videos. I mean, be cool, man. Fucking help me out. Make me. It really motivates me when people give a shit. And if you're watching and you don't have a valid YouTube account to subscribe with, you can in fact go ahead and make one in like 40 seconds flat, and doing so would serve as solid evidence to prove your own personal excellence. Our new operator made one in under a minute, I believe, and sadly she's one of the only people really that is careful enough to go ahead and like and comment on the videos and such. But I really highly appreciate it, madam. It doesn't fill the void because I mean you're assigned to that. You're our operator. It's your job. But I really do appreciate it a lot. So thank you so much for that. Keep at it and keep giving me the leads. We do have another guy, Neal Reinhardt, who's been involved recently. Thank you very much, Neal, for the leads that you've given. That's awesome, and I'm really happy that you're aboard because Neal Reinhardt is in fact with the atheist community. So we got one of them to pay attention and give a shit enough to. I thank you so much, Neal, for giving the channel a shot. That's really cool of you, man. Though, if you could try and refrain from commenting on having people killed, we don't really want to promote having people killed, even pedophiles. We can deal with things in a better way than murder, I think. But thank you for everything else. Thank you for that too. It was what these two sadly are the only real current caretakers here on the channel. Everyone that's involved with the initiative who's been telling me, for a year now, how much they love this idea and they want to push for this and make this happen, how much they care about making a change in the world via the initiative. That's happening now. That's happening right now. That's what this is. It's not happening elsewhere later. The manner by which you can support the growth of the initiative is by supporting the growth of this channel right now. Subscribe, like, share the videos if you think that they're pertinent to people. Show off a bit. This is our tool. If anybody's iffy about supporting me as a person, firstly, this channel belongs to all of us. It's whatever you put into it. We're developing this together. This channel is meant to serve as a tool to project our collective understanding into the world. So whatever you guys put into it, especially in the Remnants program or even in the comments here, it's what you're going to get back out of it. And I'm persuadable. My personal beliefs are my own personal beliefs. My personal ideologies do not represent the entirety of the initiative or even the Remnants program, but I will be representing our understanding and what considerations we come to on the Remnants page. I will be projecting that, and whatever you ask for me to, I'm your director. I work for you. I direct the initiative and whomever happens to be paying attention via your determination. So, and if you're second, if you're iffy just about me as a personality, really, you guys know everything there is to know about me. There are no surprises waiting to slip out. You think I'm going to do something crazy? I already did. It's happened. It's happening now. We've done something crazy. This is it. From here on out, however you project yourselves upon me is the reflection you're going to get. There's nothing else to find out about me. You know who I am. Simple. I'm visible. And again, my personal opinions are not representative of the initiative as a whole. I'm only the director of the initiative insofar as you guys are continuously choosing for me to be. You are allotted the framework in which to present a viable candidate at your discretion. Sadly, Randy did not pull through. He kind of disappeared. Randy was the last person I ever expected to ditch, and that really sucks. Randy, if you're watching this, he does check in from time to time. He's still in touch with us, but I mean, Randy, that really sucks. That makes me really sad. You were fucking awesome, and I felt like we were making a big difference in your life. You said that you wanted to get out more and interact with the world more, be more, outgoing because of us and our works. That I felt like we had influenced you in that way, and I understand that you have personal difficulties going on, but engaging the channel and becoming directive in this arena, that's how you're going to build the power that will allow for you to break through those walls, man. I'm telling you, you have to train, you have to engage and train yourself to be more directive. And, anyway, Randy, we'd love to have you back. That's about that for that, though. So to begin, I should like to state that soul mechanics is dedicated to promoting lucidity. That's our primary target here. We are dedicated to promoting lucidity. I will go ahead and make a kind of an introductory video speaking to the purpose and the nature of the channel at some point, and want to get that backboard in place first. But for now, I'm going to consider all of this kind of practice for that big event. But the premise as it stands is generally promoting lucidity, which means assessing and accepting the actual happening reality of our circumstances as they stand. People, actually being alert and then saying this is what's really happening. Of course, many people's realities are going to differ to some extent. That such is the nature of truth. It is subjective. Of all people, the atheist community should, for the most part, have a pretty firm grasp on at least that concept or that fact. The basis upon which we can go ahead and assess a mutual collective reality is by finding the values that we all agree upon most consistently, and defining together in a unified manner what our reality is, that what, for the most part, as best we can. But we're doing this with the Remnants program by employing people who are willing to press the limits of reality. People who have, in fact, already gone ahead and pressed the limits of reality via several natural considerations, several natural compounds. Psychonauts who have used psychedelics to press the limits, people who have used dream work, meditation, people who have actually delved into the deeper, more profound aspects of their own personality, people who have been introduced to the deeper, more profound facets of themselves. That these people are equipped to more sensitively investigate the matter at hand. So if you want to find the truth, you have to get to the bottom of the mystery, and you have to put the puzzle together. The difficulty, of course, here is getting everybody comfortable and confident enough to go ahead and share the pieces that they have to be assembled. Considering my personal opinions in play and my stance on the matter, this is going to be exceptionally difficult for me to accomplish, of course, because most people, yourselves included, the atheist community, Paulogia, and you guys, you've already gone ahead and jumped ahead of yourself and decided that your considerations are going to be standing in opposition to my own, because I presented an idea that differs from your conclusions as they stand. So, the people, my circuit, the people who seek the real, actual truth, we're the ones who are kind of most hated by everyone. I mean, even you guys don't like us. Religion doesn't like us. You don't like us. Education certainly doesn't like us. The medical community hates us. You want to complain about the atheists being put down? Shit, take a fucking step in my shoes, man. The people on both sides of the great rift, as we know it, the divide, believe that they are against us already, and this is largely because most of society has been programmed to some extent to have a kind of a skewed understanding of what is actually happening. This concept precisely of theism rests at the foundation of that problem, and we're trying to deal with that. Fortunately, we are familiar with programming in play, and with a little adjustment, we should be able to tune up the collective mind, as it were. And something I think that first and foremost we should all be able to, consider ourselves as being in agreement with, is the fact that theism means to believe in deity. It does not mean to believe in any particular deity. It certainly does not mean to follow any particular cult. Theism means to believe in deity, period. So, deity, as an idea that's been presented to us forever. We've had this idea in place since the beginning of time. As far as back as we can tell, this idea has been presented that there is some sort of a deity in play. And it's been defined pretty aptly, as something that is, something that is one with all things, that is omnipresent, omniscient, that is unconditional. So we have these descriptions in play of what God is. Now, the only presence, the only creature that fits this description is our consciousness itself. It is omnipresent, it's omniscient, it knows everything because it is all there is to be known, and we know that it exists. It's unconditional because it's malleable to every extent. So we know that consciousness exists. Consciousness fits the description of what a God is. That seems pretty simple, you know? It seems really, really very simple. The question is, again, of course, as to what the nature of this consciousness is really. And in order to investigate this, we're going to have to begin by all agreeing that it is in fact real. You're real. I'm real. This is happening. And it's very strange. Whatever it is, it's happening. And no, science is the tool we're using. Science is our primary fucking, our right hand man to science, but it does not know everything. In fact, if you dig deep enough into anything, you're going to find that science doesn't really know much of anything at all. Science plays around with it. It gives us hints and tips here and there, and it's helped us to figure out how to make use of this, whatever it is that we're working with. But the deeper we dig into it, the more we find that we don't know a fucking thing about it, and that's pretty awesome and mysterious. And of course, science demands that we have a point of origin. It demands causality. So I'm not sure how the atheist can rest on this ideology that there is no consciousness, no design in play, because science itself demands causality. So right then and there, you have to have a God figure in play in order to be a scientist. And God, most aptly, as we find it in the past, or most people have defined it, especially more recently in our considerations of quantum mechanics, is an observer. It's the observer. We know that our very observation, has a direct impact upon the formation of our reality as we know it. So, I mean, something that creates. God is something that creates, and something that's omniscient, omnipresent, unconditional. It's right in front of your face. So my consideration of God as being the world and disconnecting myself from the world, that's my own personal understanding. I use that as a tool so that I can work with it. I consider God to be a friend to me, my mind, or even my body, whereas I'm the mind could be. That's a confusing scenario to be in. I don't know which I am, but I'm one of them and God is the other one, and that's how I treat it. But that's just one method. That's just my method. So, Paulogia. And what's really happening here for the most part is I'm positing that we kind of ditch our past discernments and pretty much consider the potentiality of a future wherein we have united and bridged our divisions and assisted each other in realizing our truest potential. And the only thing that stands in our way at this point is some trashy semantics, really. You all, particularly the atheists, you should be well aware of the fact that, as we know it, if you go ahead and you hold on to the belief structure that you've carried in the past or that you're carrying now, despite truths that are presented to you as such at the moment, you are suffering from what we call cognitive dissonance, which is a psychological disorder, a psychological impairment at the very least. We know this. This is known amongst all of us. So the cognitive dissonance is really the only real enemy of true theism. True theism, which is understanding that the self exists and it is the creative, designative influence upon the creation of reality. We are the designer. We always have been. Our consciousness carries on. We at the very least, we reincarnate by creating versions of ourself that move on into the future. I mean, that's physical, that's hard science right there. It's rock solid. Reincarnation is real, and at the very least to that extent. And of course, you don't know whether or not consciousness moves into another body, whether or not your consciousness will move into another body. I can tell you from my personal perspective that I have memories that lead me to believe that such is the case. And I do, in fact, gain more memories as I move along. I get better at this every day. And I have no reason to be bullshitting you. Do you see me making any money here? Am I the only reason I'm doing this is, as I said, to kind of win over somebody by doing the best I can to help everyone I can without asking for anything in return. In fact, once I have money to put into this, I'm going to be paying out of my own pocket to make this happen. So I don't, there's really no reason that I would be fucking bullshitting you, dude. What I tell you is the truth. Visibility is key to lucidity. Honesty. So anyway, as I said, if you decide to hold on to belief structures such as there cannot be a God figure because atheism says so, though you've been presented a pretty solid, simple format upon which to understand that God is in fact an existing presence in play and always has been. It's just God is a term we use for it that you likely are afraid of for the most part because it reminds you of the embarrassing your embarrassments from the past wherein you actually believed in such things as a 6,000-year-old earth and that God created the earth in 6 days. That's embarrassing. I understand that, but you got over it, you beat it, and you can beat this too. We need to drop all of these. Forget if it makes you more comfortable, dude. Forget theism, forget God, forget atheism, forget all of it. If the words are holding you back and getting in your way, I'm asking only that we all go ahead and believe in ourselves. And there's a story, of course, most of us should be familiar with about the gods that points out, a very poignant factor in all of this that I should like to go ahead and suggest that what we want to be doing together here, working together, is digging down deep and finding in ourselves the strength to contend with and defeat a titan. Because that's what we're dealing with here with these religions. You guys really need to, you don't want to take it for granted and you don't want to fucking underestimate what you're dealing with. This problem is titanic. And what you're dealing with is a titan, and we need to dig out the strength in ourselves to be gods and to understand that we are in fact the directive force upon creating our reality, and that we have that power, and we need to accept that responsibility and move on to the next stage of our development, wherein we are no longer just stumbling around in the dark playing with toys, where we drop the toys and we grow into men or into women, into adults, and take up the reins of responsibility for the creation that we are in fact responsible for. So that's what I'm presenting. That's all I'm presenting. That's my idea of theism in sort of a nutshell. Took 30 minutes. I'm sorry for that, but namaste, mi familia. Thanks again, Paulogia. Thanks again, Shannon, everybody. I'll have one more clip to cover everything else. It should be a quick one. But again, namaste.